David Goggins is arguably one of the most disciplined men on earth. I'm sure you guys know the story. Navy SEAL, ultra marathon runner. He's just an all-around crazy guy, but in a good way.
I had to go back to the fucking lab, readjust some shit in my brain.
A few months ago I read both of his books, so that's Can't Hurt Me and Never Finished. And I wasn't really thinking it would change my life too much, because I was like, oh, you know, I'm already pretty disciplined. I was doing my martial arts and I thought that I was training hard in the gym and stuff. So I was like, you know what? One of my friends recommended it to me. I'll just read this book. You know, I kind of heard of David Goggins, but I all thought it was kind of fake, and I was like, oh yeah, he's probably not even that disciplined. And after reading his books, I realized how much of a bitch I actually was. You might have seen those videos online from these guys who take antidepressants and don't even work out, being like, no, David Goggins isn't actually even that disciplined, and like, look at this, it's so funny, haha, he's trying to drown himself, he's taping his hands behind his back, how is this discipline? No, this is just stupid. If you want to live a life like these guys, listen to them. But actually, these people haven't even actually read one of David Goggins' books or something. They see like one little quick short and they're like, oh yeah, no, he's overtraining. David Goggins is overtraining. This is bad for you. This is terrible. Which is partially the first thing that David Goggins taught me about discipline, which is there is no such thing as overtraining, only under recovering. Now, when you see David Goggins, he works really hard, right? He's always in the gym, he's always training hard, he's always doing something that's hard and challenging. But he also does the work that is recovery for that. He spends hours stretching every night. He spends a few hours meditating every day, maybe an hour or something. But he spends the time to recover from the things he's doing. Say, okay, yeah, the average person, if they were to do what he did, they would probably be overtraining. They'd probably get injuries all the time and they would probably just be dead. But he's not, because he knows that there's no such thing as overtraining. There's no such thing as training too much. There's only such thing as not recovering enough. And this even really taught me something about just doing work in general, not just working out. So he said he doesn't need breaks, he doesn't get burnt out, because he does what's called mental aid stations. And he says, alright, you wake up in the morning, you do some work, you go get a coffee. That's a mental aid station. That time where you're drinking that coffee, you can relax, you can calm down. Spend that time to not think about work and recover a little bit. Then get back to it, train hard, work hard. Then there's another mental aid station. You're eating lunch, you have time to chill out, watch a podcast. It's still productive, you're still getting work done. It's not like I'm saying, mental aid station, play video games, like that stupid shit. Someone will be in the comments like, so if it's a mental aid station, then I'll just take a little 1 hour break and play video games. No, like you're still doing something productive, but it's not a very mental straining task. You're chilling out, you're eating your meal, you're watching a podcast. That's a mental aid station. And then after that, you can get back to doing your work and you'll feel less burnt out from doing that. You start to feel burnt out, you start to feel like you're working really hard. You find some type of mental aid station to chill out with. All right, the sun's out, go get 5-10 minutes of sun. That's still productive and you're still getting something done, but you'll calm down more from that. Opposed to these guys who are like, oh, I've done 2 hours of work now and like the work was really hard, so like I'll take 4 days off now for the rest of the week. Like, shut up, man. All these people like, oh wow, I'm really burnt out. Like, oh, this work was really hard. Like, I used to be like this too, and it's the stupidest mentality to have. So this is a really big thing David Goggins taught me, which is there's no such thing as overtraining or overworking, only under recovering. Fucking birds outside. You wanna get on this video, bro? The second thing David Goggins taught me about discipline is something called the cookie jar. Now, the cookie jar is a concept David Goggins came up with, and it basically is all the good things you have done, all the things you have already accomplished in this cookie jar in your mind. So he says when you're doing something hard, when you're training hard, you're in this plank, you're like, man, you know, this plank's hard or this training session's hard. You need to remind yourself of all the hard training sessions you've already completed, all the good things that you already did, all the times that things were hard but you got through it and you completed it and you realized how good it was afterwards. You need to reach into this cookie jar and give your mind these cookies when you're training hard, when you're on that long run and you're like, you know, I should just give up now, this is hard, I'm not really worth this, I mean, I'm not even a runner, I should just stop. You need to remind yourself that no, you are. I've ran way longer than this. This is only 1 kilometer. I've done 5 in the past. Do you remember that one time that I did that? That was way harder than this. All right, I can push harder. This concept has helped me train way harder because when I'm there, you know, I used to just be in a plank and I'd be like, oh, it's hard. Okay, stop. You need to remind yourself why this isn't hard. It's not hard because you've done harder things. I'm sure you've done a harder thing than a plank in your life. And even if you haven't, then doing 30 seconds of that plank will be a pretty hard thing. Meaning next time when you do something hard, you'll be like, oh, but I did that 30-second plank last time, so this isn't even that hard because that was harder. So there's always something to feed off when you're doing hard work. There's always something that you can use to make you push a little harder. So that's a really good concept David Goggins taught me. Number 3 is that all bad things eventually come to an end. Sometimes, as I mentioned, you're training hard, you're in that long plank, or your coach is just kicking your ass at training today. Why is he kicking your ass so hard? Why? Man, I just wish I could be home right now and just chilling out. You need to remind yourself that all bad things end. Yeah, it's a hard training session. You still got 2 hours left. Fuck, man, this is gonna be forever. Eventually it will end. Eventually you'll be at home with that nice Gatorade, sitting down, you know, you're watching a podcast, or you're just chilling out, you're reading a book or something, and you'll be like, I could have trained harder an hour ago. You'll be sat there being like, man, I'm chilling now, I'm fine. You know, that wasn't even that bad. Like, I wasn't even training that hard. I could have probably trained 60% as hard as I did, but I didn't because I was so worried about the fact that it hurt now. So David Goggin says all bad things eventually end. This is the best example because planks, everyone fucking hates planks. I personally love them, but most people hate planks. I see so many people do this. They're in a plank and they're so worried about the pain they're feeling now. They're just sat there being like, oh man, this is so hard. You know, they're trying to make like jokes and stuff in the plank. Don't get caught up in that. Eventually it will be over. It's a 2-minute plank. All right, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Like, yeah, that's a long time for a plank, but in 2 minutes it will be done. You've been watching this video for more than 2 minutes. So if you think about anything, you're running, it's hard right now, you still want to run for another 30 minutes, run for that 30 minutes because eventually you'll be sat at home thinking, oh man, I was a little bitch earlier. I could have trained harder. I should have trained harder. Oh man, but now, you know, I'm chilling. I'm not going to go train again. So you need to train fully. And what's kind of funny is the next thing that David Goggins taught me about discipline is that most people give up at 40% of what their maximum capacity is. One thing I really started to see in myself after I read David Goggins' book was the fact that I would give up so early. I thought I was training hard when I was in the gym, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, I'm training pretty hard. I'm training till failure. I thought I was training till failure, but I was actually letting my mind make me stop early. And what's kind of funny is this concept just allows you to lift more weight. And literally after reading David Goggins' book, I went to the gym. Obviously, you know, you read David Goggins' book, you're hyped up. You're like, all right, it's time to go to the gym. Actually, no, I had his audiobook because I had one book that was on my Kindle and then I had one book in the audiobook. So I had the audiobook in and I was working out to the audiobook because like that's just the best thing to do it because then you have somewhere where you can apply the principles. I just immediately was like, all right, let's see if I'm training at 40%. I feel like I'm training to failure. So I realized when I was going, you know, I was hitting the weight and I was like, oh, that feels like failure. And I just kept telling myself, nah, this is 40%. And I stopped going like, I was just like, oh, wait, I can do way more than this. I was letting my mind tell me that, oh no, this is failure because it feels uncomfortable. But in reality, my muscles could do so much more. And I had someone comment once that like, oh no, training past failure is bad for you. You can't train past failure. But it's not training past failure. You're just actually hitting failure. Because when you think you're hitting failure in the gym right now, you're probably at 40% of what your failure actually is. And it seems like a big number, like, nah, I'm not at 40% when I'm training, you're lying. Just go on a run and think about that. When you really, like, you're dead, you feel that pain that you kind of get in your, what's it, like your liver or your kidneys, you kind of get that pain when you're running if you're not breathing properly, which I don't know if you're a runner or something, but like, once you start to get that and you're like, oh fuck, this is hard, my lungs are tired and stuff, just be like, I'm at 40%. Oh wait, I'm at 40%. Okay, I can go for another 60%. I haven't even hit halfway yet. All right, I gotta keep going. This concept is probably the biggest one that's helped me with discipline. You know, it's been a hard day. I'm like, oh man, all right, time to stop. It's time to not do anymore. I'm feeling burnt out, which is like the other one, which is you're not actually burnt out. You're just not using the mental aid stations. You're not recovering properly. But I just tell myself, I'm at 40%. Once you tell yourself you're at 40%, you almost get to zoom out and look at yourself and you're like, I'm just being a little bitch right now. I'm just being lazy. You're not actually training hard, you're just being lazy. And you're most likely at 40% of what your actual true one, if you think about your 100%, you're just close to death training in the gym. It's not what you're doing right now. I'm not saying I can hit 100%. I'm saying, all right, if you're training at 40%, knowing this will at least bring you to 60%. 100% would be like, you're literally dead in the gym. Like you're so close to death because of how hard you're training, which is probably not a good thing. Okay, yeah, sure. But just knowing this principle will at least let you go from 40% to 60, 80%. And that's already gonna give you some major gains and some major discipline increase. And the final one, which is number 5, is don't double down on your strengths, triple down on your weaknesses. Now, I'm sure you've heard, a lot of people have probably told you, double down on your strengths, use your strengths to your advantage. Your strengths are what make you great. And I mean, that seems like good advice, because if you use your strengths to your advantage, then you'll be able to get better than everyone else because those are your strengths, those are what you're good at. But what David Goggin says is that's absolute bullshit. All right, you're good at something, yeah, sure, you can still do it, but don't double down on your strengths. Triple down on what you're bad at. If you're really bad at double leg takedown, I just come up with these examples because these are the things where I use discipline the most. If you're really bad at double leg takedowns in like jiu-jitsu or something, don't just be like, okay, well, instead I'm gonna do single legs because I'm really good at single legs, so I'll just keep doing those. No, triple down. Spend more time doing what you're bad at. If you're really good at doing shoulder rolls to the right, triple down, do more shoulder rolls to the left. If you're really good at weight training, but you're pretty bad at stretching, spend more time stretching. This seems like such common sense. Spend more time improving your weaknesses, not continuing to just keep doing your strengths. Think about it, everyone's just gonna be using their strengths. But if you have your weaknesses and your strengths dialed in, bro, you'll be the ultimate whatever. So with anything you're doing, all right, you're doing basketball, say you're really good at 3-pointers, but you're ass at layups. Do more layups. Don't just go to the gym and do your drills and be like, all right, 3-point shot, 3-point shot, 3-point shot. Oh yeah, I'm getting really good. And now like when someone passes the ball, they'll always know I'll score a 3-pointer. Do more layups. Spend 80% of your time doing layups and 20% just perfecting, making sure you maintain your 3-pointers. Because then when you're in a game and then you end up getting the ball and you're close to the net, you're not gonna be like, oh fuck, all right, dribble it back to the 3-pointer. Just go for the layup because you'll be good at that. Then people will be like, fuck, this guy's got the 3-pointers down. He's got the layups down. This is how you become better than most people. This is how you improve. You don't improve by doing what you're already good at. You improve by improving what you're bad at. This makes the most sense. So don't double down on your strengths. Triple down on your weaknesses. If you want to get both of the books I've mentioned in this video, you can go down to the description and just find them. I'll leave like a little Amazon link to them. Also go down and book a free 20-minute call with me if you want to get some one-on-one coaching and have me help you out with discipline or with anything you're currently struggling with. I'd love to talk to you. Click on the subscribe and post notification button. It's a win-win for both of us. Be a doer, not a thinker. See you, bro.